Okay, now that we've learned how to target other corridors, let's talk about how we can override our end conditions for when we require a different type of end condition solution. So let me close the define target aliasing box here and focus our attention on the cross section here. You notice the cross section as we had set up is now targeting our bridge abutment walls. And if you look in the 3D model, you're going to notice there's some areas where it doesn't quite hit the wall on the right side and also on the left side. There's some small areas where the grading just doesn't hit the wall or the end condition doesn't hit the wall. And the reason for that is because we don't have an end condition solution that can find those walls. So what I want to show you now is how we can override our default template end conditions so that we can provide a better solution to find these abutment walls. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in and we're going to assign different end conditions to the template just in the area of the bridge. So let's go in here and zoom in the plan view. You can see my bridge abutment wall corridor here and here on the left and right side of London Road. So now what we're going to do is we'll focus on the left side first. We're going to override this default end condition by using an end condition exception. So to get to end condition exceptions, we need to go to corridors under edit, and we're going to create an end condition exception to override our default end conditions on the left hand side, but just in this area of the walls. So we're going to locate our corridor first for London Road. Let's locate our corridor, and for the exception name, we'll just call it left wall grading since it's on the left side of the road. So we'll give it a name. And then for the type of end condition exception, we have different types that we can use here. So we can just do an override where we just override the default end condition. We can do end condition transitions, and we can also do where we have the end conditions not even display at all, where we just display the backbone only of the template. So we want to use the right override. So I'm going to toggle using my down arrow on the keyboard to find the right override. So we want to apply, or the left override rather. So we want to override this left side end condition. So we're going to left click to accept that. And then the start station we want to use will be somewhere at the beginning of the wall. So that's going to be at station 69 plus 51. And then the end station will be somewhere here at the end of the wall, which will be 72 plus 51. Okay, so we're only going to do an end condition exception between those stations. So we're going to left click to accept that. It's going to go through and look at the corridor and the template just between those stations, and it's going to open up our end condition exception editor window. And now at this point what you see is the pavement here, and then the end condition is highlighted. And the pavement shows up dashed. That means that you can't edit it. Nothing can be edited in here except the end condition that's attached to the template. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to delete this end condition and we're going to place a new one on here to hopefully get a better solution than what we currently have. So to delete this end condition, you just right click inside the window, left click delete components, and then just drag your cursor over the components. They will highlight a blue color, and then you will go over here to the template library, and we're going to go under our project templates, and we're going to look for our EC wall grading left. So now this is our new end condition that we're going to use to place on our hinge point here on our template. So we're redefining this or overriding this default template end condition with this new one. So we're going to take this new one, we're going to drag and drop it onto our hinge point here. It's going to automatically snap to that point when you get real close to it. And I'm going to go down here at the bottom of the screen and fit my view just so you can kind of see that end condition. And once we place the end condition, we're going to go and click OK. And then what happens, the corridor is going to process and update the corridor and the model. So now you can see that our end condition solution has now changed because our back slope here is a little bit flatter than it was previously, and also inside the 3D model now you can see we have a more complete solution along the wall there. Now we're going to do that same process for the right hand side. We're going to override this right hand side end condition using the same template. Now before we create the end condition exception for the right side, I just want to point out that when you do create an end condition exception, it does place a graphical manipulator inside of the 2D view here. And if you can see this when I hover my cursor over this blue shape, it creates this graphical manipulator which enables us to manipulate the end condition graphically if we need to. So you can select this and get access to the end condition exception properties as well as the end condition exception. You can edit it from here as well as delete it. So if we click on the properties, you can see that it's enabled. You can see the description, the type of end condition it is, and the extension range that was used. And we can also delete it as well, or if we need to edit it, we can click on the edit button. So just be aware that that's what that is there for, so we can edit it and manipulate it if we need to. Now let's go ahead and create the end condition exception for the right side of London Road. So we're going to go back up to corridors, edits, we'll go to create end condition exceptions once again, and we'll go and select our corridor, and our corridor name is going to be, or end condition exception is going to be right wall grading. Left click to accept. We'll make sure we use the right override. So let's use the right override because we're on the right side now, and the start station is going to be 70 plus 13. This is near the beginning of the wall. Left click to accept, and then the stop station is going to be 73 plus 13. That's near the end of the wall. Left click to accept, and then that's going to bring up our editor window here so we can delete our default end condition. So we'll right click and we'll left click to select delete components, and then we'll hold down our left mouse button and delete our end condition components. And then now what we want to do is come over here to our template library and go to our project templates, and we want to look for our EC wall grading right. So this is the end condition that we want to use for our override. So we're going to come over here and we're going to drag and drop that onto our hinge point here, and then that's going to be our new end condition solution. So we're going to click OK to accept that, and it's going to go through and update the corridor in the model. So now you can see how the slopes changed on the cross section, and then now we have a little bit more complete solution along our walls there. So that's just one example of how you would use an end condition exception. Now I want to show you another example of how we can use an end condition exception. There's some ditches along our corridor here, and sometimes these ditches, they're intermittent. They don't run through the full length of the corridor. Sometimes you may not even need them. Sometimes they just get put in because of the way the template solves to the existing ground or to the terrain. So I want to show you how we can just eliminate some of these little ditches. In particular, this one right here. So if we zoom into that a little bit, you can see it's just a small little ditch there. And if we go into our plan view here, you can see it's in this little area here in the 2D plan view. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and do an end condition exception between that little station range just to get rid of that ditch. Okay, so let's go back up to end condition exceptions. We'll go create an end condition exception. We'll locate my corridor, and we'll just call this left ditch override. And we'll left click to accept that. We want to be sure on the left hand side, so we'll just use the arrow key on our keyboard to toggle to the left override. And then our stationing, our start and ending stations will go from about right here, from 66 plus 00 to the stopping station, which is going to be over here, which is about 66 plus 40. So we don't want that little ditch there. We don't need that there. It seems unnecessary. So we'll press enter on the keyboard to lock in that value. Then once again, it's going to do a little bit of processing. It'll bring up our editing window here, and you can see we do have a ditch there. So let's get rid of that ditch. And let's do something a little bit different there. We'll go over to our project templates and select our EC 6:1 fill. We're just going to do a 6:1 fill solution there. We don't want a ditch at all. And we'll drop that on there and click OK. And then what it's going to do is it'll go through and update the model, and we should see that ditch disappear. So there we go. So that's how we can easily get rid of some of these little ditches along our project if we don't need the ditch. So just another example of how we can use end condition exceptions to change or override the default end conditions.